Good afternoon. So we're going to be talking about the note-taking assignment tasks we're going to do for the next unit. So we did start this just slightly before half term. This is a pass-fail unit once again, so it's level 3 pass-fail, so there's no merit or distinctions for this unit. What I told my group A, on Tuesday is that me and Paul will be actually taking most of the responsibility for making sure that all the coursework for this unit is done in class. So there'll be less for you to read about when you go home, because me and Paul would have been doing this in all our learning activities. So don't worry, because the brief is quite big, and just follow Paul and I's lead and you'll be absolutely fine. So we'll worry about the tasks for this and you worry about the communication. So for note taking, we have 4 tasks. Okay, so task 1, you should have more or less got most of this done. Okay, but just to quickly go through what you're going to be doing, you're going to be taking notes of any session that you've done in the classroom. Okay, so you'd have had headings, you would have put bullet point, key points. So for group A, they actually, we did this in communication. So the first PowerPoint in communication, they took notes about different methods of communication and the barriers. Once they did that, they did a 250-word summary of the key learning points. So they looked at their notes, they wrote down what they actually learned in that session, looking at their notes. Once they did this, they then actually reorganised the layout. So we actually did this on a computer, most people. So you went on a computer, they actually changed the layout of what they've done here. And so you must put different colours in, so really jazz it up, put your own slant of this, because it's showing that you can actually move information around to make it make sense to you. Once I did that, the 250-word summary then became 150 words. So you really here, you're looking at developing your critical thinking skills. Okay, so you're thinking what's really, really important in that 250-word summary, and then cutting it and chopping it down to 150. So you don't need to worry about references, it's just about your note-taking skills and your ability to make sense of information. So the next bit, so this should be, me and Paul are going to be doing the flow chart rather than a table of information. So for most people, you don't need to worry about this, just focus on the flow chart, okay? So you will be watching a Malala DVD next week, or maybe the week after, and it's a half-an-hour panorama video, and it'll be taking you through what actually happened to Malala in Pakistan when she went to school. So in this DVD, you will be doing a flow chart very similar to this. Okay, hopefully a little bit more beautiful and more well presented. This is a 2-minute attempt of some of the things that I remember from the video. So you'll be taking a flow chart of some of the key points that you took out of the video. Okay, so about 1 to 2 pages of flow chart. So the first thing, as you can see here, Malala went to school to study, and on the way back home, somebody obviously shot her in the head. Okay, so that is the first thing that the video talks about, that her first day at school, what happened, and obviously the devastating effect. Then it led to obviously her being flown to the UK for treatment. So that's the second key point it says at the beginning of the video. The third point, from what I remember, is the family gave a very emotional interview about Malala, how she was so dedicated to learning, and about her commitment, and said obviously how awful this was, and there was some threats beforehand, but obviously they ignored them because they believed that every person should be educated. There should be equality regardless of your gender. So this is a little example of what the flowchart needs to look like. So you can put colours in this, you can make it look very beautiful, very well presented. So once you've done this in class with Paul and I, the next bit that it says is that you need to do a 250-word summary of the main learning points for your DVD. So this unit does love summaries. It does like your writing and trying to make sense of what you're learning in the session. So once you've done this, once you've done your flow chart, it's all done by hand. Same again, you will have to go on the computer and do a typed version of the flowchart, moving things around again. Okay, and then editing your 250 words to 150. Okay, so this task is very similar, task 1 to task 2. So you're doing things in class, and then you go into the computer and shuffling things around, making and trying for you to make sense of what you've learned. Okay, so it's about trying to develop your note-taking skills and also develop your critical thinking skills. Okay, so think of Bloom's taxonomy and the top bit of the pyramid. That is what you're doing. You're trying to develop your evaluation skills. Task 3, so Paul and I will be doing this again, so don't worry. Okay, this bit is a little bit more complex, but you will be having 2 different abstracts in relation to Carl Rogers. So you'll be looking at humanistic theory. So for those who like psychology, this is going to be very interesting to you. So the person-centered approach is Carl Rogers' theory, and he looked at the need for an unconditional positive regard, empathy and congruence. So Paul and myself will be giving you 2 different texts from 2 different sources, and what you'll need to do is read them and create a mind map of the first abstract on A4. So a mind map is where you put like a heading in the middle, and you're like same as like a brainstorming, and you're just writing key points from the article what the article states. You'll then do the same again for the other abstract. So you'll have 2 mind maps. Those mind maps will have references on. So this is the most important bit, because when I taught this before, people forgot to put the references in. Okay, so when you do your mind map, please make sure it actually has the abstract text on there. So please reference it using the Harvard referencing system. So you don't want to be failed just because of this. So make sure it's referenced. And then once you've done that in class, you'll then go on the computer and you will, your mind map will compare and contrast the main points between the 2 different extracts. Okay, so it must have details. So your 2 mind maps, what you have in class, whether you'll be looking at both of them and you make them into 1. Okay, so yeah, the 3rd mind map will be quite critical, and it will be comparing the 2 different extracts and what they say. Okay, so it's you trying to develop your critical thinking skills once again. So you'll be doing that, and once you've done your 2 different, when you do the mind map, you then do a 250 word summary of the key arguments. Okay, so 1 more summary happens again. And the last bit, I'm sure you'll be pleased to say, is where you basically put all your different notes, your mind maps, your flowcharts, that become into 1 beautiful little folder with a contents page in, your name in, your front submission sheet, and it should be clearly organised for Paul and I to see. So your task 4 is about you putting it together. All your summaries, all your mind maps, all your flowcharts to come together. So the date for when this is due in is the 2nd of December. Okay, so please make sure that's in your diary. I know most of you have nearly finished your task 1, and you'll be thinking about your task 2 soon. So that is the date when it all comes in. Thank you.